Recruiting season is slowing down, yet the Huskers still have some top targets on the board. So in today's video, we have a huge recruiting update for you. I'm going to go over all the prospects the Huskers are after, and I'm going to answer the question, where are they trending? Will they commit to Nebraska, or will they go elsewhere? And then we're going to give you an exclusive update around the #1 recruit in America, David Sanders, and his interest in the Huskers. So really quick, before we dive into it, we have a jam-packed episode for today. Make sure to smash that like button. And hey, please subscribe to the channel. I post a video about Nebraska football and Nebraska recruiting every single day. So if you're a diehard fan of this program and you enjoy daily content talking about your favorite team, what are you doing? Please hit that subscribe button. It would help me out greatly. But without further ado, let's get into it. Talking about Nebraska recruiting. And like I said in the intro, it's been a slow couple weeks for the Huskers. Official visiting is now over, and that enters us into the dead period of July. A lot of these recruits are deciding to commit places, and for that reason, we haven't seen too much movement, but that's going to change here shortly with the Huskers. So let's just start off with some of the players Nebraska is after. First, Aiden Manutai, one of the best players in the state of Hawaii, 4-star safety according to ESPN. And this guy is the real deal. Again, he's a ball hawk. He should be a 4-star according to every single recruiting site. And he is committing this Friday on 24/7 Sports at 12 o'clock Hawaii time. Now, what's interesting around Aiden Manutai, it's down to us, Tennessee, and Washington. And if you look on any recruiting site, there is no crystal ball. There's no inside information. We're going to get an old school, old-fashioned hat commitment. So interesting stuff around Aiden Manutai, but Nebraska, they're definitely in the mix to land him. He came on an official visit in mid-June and absolutely loved it. But again, we've seen Tennessee and Washington do a great job getting these Polynesian recruits as well. So definitely something to watch there. But Nebraska has a real chance around Manutai. Nobody's talking about it, but we could add a legit player to this class on Friday. So let's go to Bryson Webber up next, another 4-star corner this time, coming out of the state of Texas. So I've talked about Bryson Webber a lot in the past. This is a guy who's down to really us or TCU, and there were murmurs that he was going to commit last Saturday. Now, of course, you saw what happened there with Nebraska's defensive backs coach Evan Cooper no longer with the program. And like I've told many Husker fans, that hurts Nebraska recruiting. Yes, they're going to add John Butler to the coaching staff, and he has a great resume, and he's a great developer. The problem with that is this. He's been out of the college game for 10 years. He does not know how to recruit. He's not into the flow of recruiting. And number two, the relationship that you built with Bryson Webber and Aiden Manutai, that's damaged now because Evan Cooper's no longer with the program. Again, John Butler's a great coach, but they have no idea who he is. They're just learning. Okay, compare that to some of the other coaching staffs that they've known for 1, 2, 3 years now. It's going to be hard for Nebraska to land Bryson Webber, but I still like where the Huskers stands. Again, he pushed back his commitment. I expect something around late July. But Nebraska, I put us at about a 60% chance. But TCU, that's a hometown team for him. They're definitely in the mix. We've seen them time and time again come in last second in these recruiting processes and get guys because of their NIL. So something to watch about Bryson Webber. It is a concern that Nebraska lost their defensive backs coach. Hopefully, John Butler can get in there, build that relationship as quick as possible. But ideally, you want Matt Rhule and Tony White to really step in because those are guys who have also built those connections with those recruits. But let's take it over to the state of Iowa for Will Hawthorne, the #1 linebacker in the Hawkeye State. And it's down to us or Iowa State. And he's a kid who's coming out of right outside of Ames, Iowa, grew up an Iowa State fan. And I put Nebraska at a 50-50% chance to get him. It's a guy who's been on commitment watch for a couple of weeks now. Honestly, I thought he was going to commit last week. So any day now for Will Hawthorne. I like Nebraska's odds once again. It's hard to convince him to commit to the Huskers given the fact that he's an Ames boy, that he grew up around the Cyclones program. But one thing that stood out about Will Hawthorne is that he loves the Big Ten. He feels like the Big Ten is a conference full of good linebacker play, and he trusts Matt Rhule's development not as much as he does when it comes to, or he trusts Matt Rhule's development more than he does with Iowa State. So I think Will Hawthorne will be a commit for Nebraska, but definitely something to watch out for in July. Two more guys here before we get into David Sanders. Let's talk about Cade Petruzek. So one thing that was interesting about Cade Petruzek, that's the #1 player in North Dakota, 4-star recruit defensive lineman, is that it's really down to us, Kansas State, Wisconsin, or Oklahoma in his recruiting process. He has taken absolutely 0 interviews over the last couple months. For that reason, he's very similar to Aiden Manutai. We have absolutely no idea where he's leaning. Now, if you look at 24/7 Sports, he has 1 or 2 crystal balls for Oklahoma, but that doesn't mean anything in my opinion because those came in right after his official visit. Nebraska is still a huge player for Cade Petruzak, and honestly, I like our odds as well. Another player who's going to probably commit around late July, even early August, so watch out for him. And again, he's a stud. I mean, I did a film reaction about him, a straight mauler, one of those more underrated prospects, and Huskers are in the thick of things to get him as well. One more guy here. Let's talk about Michael Terry a little bit. So the 5-star athlete, he's committing at the end of July. Like I said on my live stream, I do not like Nebraska's chances. He said in an interview recently that of all the places he went on an official visit, Texas and Oregon wowed him the most. That he liked going to their programs out of all of them. So again, Nebraska, Texas A&M, he said that he was still wowed by them and he still liked it, but nothing compared to Oregon and Texas. So it looks like it's a 2-horse race for Michael Terry. Yes, he posted on social media, "Go Big Red fans, it's not over. Follow me on Instagram." Again, we've seen that all the time from recruits just trying to get followers on their platforms. Again, Michael Terry is a heck of a prospect. You feel good about what he brings to the table if you can land him. I think it's over for Nebraska, unfortunately. And again, if you want to get these 5 stars, you got to win football games and you got to offer them NIL. And unfortunately, it looks like Texas and Oregon, they have the 2 best NIL collectives in the country. It's going to be hard to beat them out. So a little update there about Michael Terry. Now let's talk about David Sanders, because there's been a lot of talk around social media. Does Nebraska even have a real chance at David Sanders? Of course, David Sanders is the number 2 player in the class of 2025, and he recently put Nebraska in his top 4 among Tennessee, Ohio State, and Georgia. And the response from Husker fans was honestly really surprising. They are replying to his tweet in his Instagram and saying, "Oh, Nebraska has no chance. I don't even know why you even put him on there. You're just clickbaiting." First things first, David Sanders is not clickbaiting anybody by putting Nebraska on there. Okay, he's the number 1 tackle in the country. Honestly, should be the number 1 recruit in the country. He will get attention no matter who he puts on that list. Number 2, in his top 6, he also had Bama, Clemson, South Carolina. Clemson at one point was favored to get him. They have a great fan base. If he was clickbaiting people and wanted to get attention, he would have kept Clemson on there, right? What's interesting about Nebraska is that Nebraska was not in his top 6. He's actually only been to Lincoln one time, but he's being peer recruited heavily by Dylan Raiola, and he said he wants to play with greatness. He knows what Dylan Raiola is. He knows how good he's going to be. He wants to be a part of that. So I do think Nebraska has a real chance. Now, of those 4 schools, yes, Nebraska has the least chance, yes, or the worst odds to get him, but we do have an opportunity. Now, I'm going to say this about David Sanders. He's been on campus one time. The other schools in his top 4, Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, he's been on their campus 3, 4, 5 times. And he's been recruited by those schools for 3, 4 years. Nebraska's only been recruiting him for a couple months. And we're on his top 4. That should tell you everything you know. He's interested about Matt Rhule. He's interested about this program. And there's murmurs that he's going to come on a visit late July. And that's where you really got to try to get him in this class, because David Sanders, man, he's the real deal. Now, one thing I want to add about David Sanders. If you want to get a 5-star recruit, and I say this all the time, you've got to pony up and offer him big bucks, right? We're talking 7 digits. We're talking $1, $2, $3 million. Because that's what it's going to take. We know how good Tennessee's NIL collective is. We know how good Georgia and Ohio State has it. Okay, Nebraska, in order to get the number 2 player in the country, you've got to offer him some money because he's a real deal. And that's really a part of his recruiting process. He's going to go somewhere that's going to offer him a lot of money, a lot of playing time. Nebraska absolutely is going to offer that. So hopefully we can give him a good NIL package, but Nebraska has a chance. And I'm just so distraught by people on social media saying, "I have no idea why he put us on there. He's clickbaiting." He's the number 2 player in the country. He does not need to clickbait anybody. He has a crazy amount of followers on Twitter and Instagram. That wasn't why. He's interested in Nebraska. Let's pony up. It's going to be a long month and a half. So watch out for David Sanders. He's committing August 17th, big day. And hopefully he commits to the Huskers. But that's my update here around Nebraska recruiting. Again, things are slowing down a little bit, but some top-tier names are still on the board. So let me know down below. Are you getting fired up about Nebraska recruiting? And man, the season is getting here very quick. Let me know in the comment section. And hey, make sure to hit this like button and subscribe if you made this far in the video. Again, I want to thank you all. And as always, folks, go Big Red, go Matt Rhule, and see you in the next one.